Oh, not now, but I don't know what time it is.
Okay, I think we should start because somehow time is exists in I don't know what dimension. Fourth dimension. Okay, fourth time. Yeah. Uh-huh. I still don't understand the time is. It's something or it's nothing. It's say relative, but what does that mean?
We'll do opening prayers on page 5 of the prayer book, twice in English and once in Tibetan. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Tibetan? Sanje Jodan Soje Jonan La Janjo Parda Dane Jasen Dagi Jiso Jebe Sunan Dola Penje Sanje Dola Sho.
May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Ma nam ka dan nyam be sam chen tam che dewa dan dewe jut tenpa jo je donga dan donga ge jo dan tawa jo donga me be dewa dan mandra wa jo je yeren cha dan yin dan cha Antonio Malane Barajoje.
And then we can go to 16, the request for teaching. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma, of the two vehicles and their combination, according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Samjen namje sambadhan loye jera jedawai chenjong temon tekbai chujen kolo gordo zor parden zave lama rinpoche dagi jevre bime densho Kadri chimbo gane je sonde kusong toje ngodro zardo so. Thank you for coming back. Of course, you have much more important things to do and sacrificing that to doing some other dimensional, I guess, things here. and learning some terms that doesn't really we can explain well in English, but we will try and to see. Of course, yin long 가르치나요? 단둘나 전 담배기 땜바 춘이 들라 고고고요. 대 들라 때네. 하는 거죠. 다 코르바 선난다 냥엘인데 봐. 선나 닌추 닌수 요비추 담제드는 적진 시기 롱암 시기 영난 내 시기 롱의 샤르용인데 되니 거야 돼. 개체뭐 그래 되네. 다들 제통 책 롱다 영사의 책 당 맹로 이나야 다 등당 엄마한테 가르쳐 시기어서나 추담 제 샤르사 내사 용사 대 균이 되버리식 비닝보 대인 말해 다 대롱의 샤르용을 해서도 샤르야게 못 보지 저 샤야 마인바 너나 샤르 되나요 다다 담지 균이 그 롱래 자원의 요요 말했으네 나 들으지 코알랩 상황이나 근데 균이 똑야다 랑 심근 거 똑야라 나 펜토 쳔보 요래
So we left off talking a lot about these two terms, yin and long, both of which are referring to the Dharmata, or the expansive phenomena, the basic space of phenomena. And so also then there was this sort of conclusion with regard to what was stated in that the ground of Dzogchen is the space from which all phenomena, or all samsara and nirvana arise from. And so to understand that all phenomena of samsara and nirvana come from this single ground, the Dzogchen ground, which is what is referred to as this yin, or this expanse, or this space, or basic space. And so there, regardless of what word or term it is that is used, it is referring to that which is like the source, or that from which all phenomena arises. And then also there is this term chuni, or dharmata, which we can also find to be, or we can think of as being not the same as the Buddha nature, or the Tathagata Garbha, and which is the true essence, or the true nature, the essence of one's own mind. Mm-hmm.
yin ki rang xin sen de na yin si de la yang rang xin sen pu yik da sai.
Oh, okay, that's all. Mm-hmm.
다 yin se dana yin si yorwe ngone his tene jarmen do yina yang 단다 족칭기 시세야데 무슨 인지도를 소저용도 되네 grounds 망치게 주르고서 이나요 베이스스인다고나 파운데이션다고나 간데 너나 책간데 저는 되거든 전당만도 돼 그러이는데 냥엘인데 왜나 상보이는 엠파이나 담지 용사기空着용사기 신어 요 거기 gowa shigore. Tindu himena yong togumeba. Taina hiseya te yong opo chobdeva sangbo dongenba. Tenri chobdeva jirvesena hi koranyang. Teni opo madro bachi. Shi gogore. Tindu dan ti machindana ngaso yingji rangxin sene. Okay, now yingji gur ma yinpa ying korangji rangxin sene. Yang yingji ngowo nichu ngoma ti kare sen. Shi yana anu numa lunji choba. Chetang name ba kundu chaba. Darwa.
Dong. Oh, okay.
Chename ba dalwa sena chabdeva. 타이 매매 땡오 총삼 대바서는 타세한다는 무시야 땡오 된들린 대바 단들나周边 다 담지다 차바텔라 되는 yin 랑신스 된들
대로와. So as it says, given that basic space is by nature primordially and spontaneously present, it is infinitely pervasive with no division into outer and inner. So this word ying, which here of course is translated as basic space, is, however we translate it in English, it is the ground, the Dzogchen ground, what is referred to as the ground, or the basis, the foundation, from which everything arises. So samsara and nirvana both originate from this ground. They never waver from the ground. And it is infinitely pervasive with no division into outer and inner. And so so there is these distinctions of outer and inner, also positive and negative. In the essence of this ground itself, there is no distinction. There is these designations don't exist. Above or below, without any limiting boundaries. It is beyond division into above and below or any direction. Okay. It's a little bit backwards. Okay. Yeah. And it is primordially spontaneously arisen. This essence is primordially spontaneously arisen, which is what it comes at the beginning there. And so as it says, beyond the duality of spacious versus narrow awareness, pure like space, is this very expanse, free of the elaborations of a conceptual framework.
Ngazo shijia tamna yaga yore samgyor inayang sangbo saya dengan saya tesu tamji meba tene danda na semke sushawa imba ti ha koyandu da sangen tamji lindebi chuji yeng teni ndurna ha koborwa ta ti ha kobaina tene tawa tok saya
And so generally these designations that are being referred to here, and positive, negative, and so forth, these are fabrications of the mind. And so when that is understood, like that the essence itself is beyond any of these conceptual designations of polarity or duality, then that essence which is beyond any good or bad or positive or negative, when that is seen, then that is really what is referred to as realizing or understanding the view. So that is what we're referring to as the ground, which is this ground that has none of these designations.
Tony say at the Kawashira Malab, Tene, and the Namba Sanjibi, Tony say at the Gopadang, till Tony to Kawashira Malabina, this Koyatek, this Galikaboy, Yinayan, Tandona, so million Mamatakarasena, turned down Mama, Moponam, Nilo Momate, Karimba, take. Here, take it. Not so song and darky tamjit log so shawin, but log so shawa the turnla. Maybe in the Tandene Mar Tonshima Shishi on the J. Shinzin some mebata which chagando, Shinzin some meba sena. Not so namjuina. Then gave a drop, dig bapong. 做对吧？讲，这样的话，真的爱呢，啥工爱的，几人做人，这是有的吧？但这是，就是从特大样，他们的上班人把他们的老个处理才对，那真的提高了，从些个们都还等于我不那路我们的，开始这些个。
And so this chikpa duna dangpo de ki dunda lagare chikpa dangpo sum chikpa duna. Oh, chikchino yabo ko. It's okay. Dangpo ne yabo ko gare. So this, or in other words, emptiness. So the emptiness that we refer to in the context of, the Buddhist understanding of emptiness, which is difficult to understand, but this, what we're referring to is this true nature, this absolute nature, where there really, that is beyond, that transcends all of these different designations of duality, good and bad, pure and impure, this ground is the point at which there is no grasping whatsoever. So everything else that kind of is built upon this duality in terms of the path of practice, like practicing virtue, abandoning non-virtue, gathering the accumulations, purifying the obscurations, reciting mantra, doing the practices of the generation and completion stages. So all, of this, which is sort of built around these concepts of pure and impure, or good, positive and negative, but the absolute nature of the essence itself entirely transcends that, or these designations are non-existent within the realization of the essence itself.
Nga tsu lo yon tong de kare kare se na nga tsu ke lo ge sung zi nin su xian ni nga tang da xian se ya nga da se da tende le xian ne tenen korwa trop de ba jik tang de le song bo che na ge we kin de wa de wa min yu wa tang yan ba che na me giving to the dungar, Nyonjova. That get it, Jundi, Luame Bate, and also don't say anything Vietnam. Here, Tetat, and also Shandy or then not saying not Dorjitic what are Dana. I could this Jundil and Davy choose and the chew here on the Dotella, Carsana, Juyitic was. Got Junditic was, Jordan driven in but then but and then not in drivers on not Dorjitic was I undo couldn't drive it. See, not so something get tune and drive it around you, the trop deva, around you, the Yuba, Teledane, drive Dorjitic was. And drive Sanji to compensate your thing as Sanji, something get you la tanda, me you well, drive Dorjit, Sanga Dorjitic was and drive Dorjitic was in door. Doina, Jujitic was, Carasana, not so Jujic, Sambochi, Dane, then drive Sambochi Maubala, Trobia, Tella. Here got Kalikali Mandrona, so Tindi Gola Livery in that Jerton, not so long Zimbic of Scout God, not so Mamboji Jang, it, Tene, Sajun, she devate, Yona, Jing Doi Cho, Jujitigba, Yona, Jig, no, Chichon Druitigba, La Shanty Neon, or almost so okay. Zinson Mamboyora, Yina, Dicaps. Got 10 years in Deva, he understanding as a lawyer, Sean at top of the sort of what in the Leipzig, till 10, then Karishigana turned out maybe so now, then the young cigar.
Karidunda meba.
Then Dinola, Jundil in Devi choose and she undo. Then Koya meva, turned out maybe so now, live with then today. Lebia take not to send Zimbatang not so Chu Jong Yad and Drobiat Homatic Yonan Do Yonan didn't drop did Jundil Hemba Yoro. And decaps got Jundil Hemba the daughter of each other, Chuinzo Law Jang Yen Tendichivina and Penpotent Yoris, Carisana Tartu Jundinil and David Chuti. Choose and I on same thing out Segura, choose it in as a Jerton, Thomas Segurina, Jundinil and David choose it, isn't it? Chu Rangic, same thing out. The dog while Jundinil and Mandana, no same thing out, thought to Gamar. They in the kitchen Boris.
And so sometimes when we hear these types of things, it feels really in contrary to how we generally think about the Dharma. So there might be like a feeling of contradiction there. It like we can't quite, like maybe the way to say it in English, it was like we can't quite wrap our head around it. It's like it won't fit in our conceptual mind, and because there's, from the perspective of, our experience in samsara, then there is the way in which things function, that there's the virtue, virtue through wholesomeness and virtue, we create the causes of happiness. Through non-virtue, we create the causes of suffering. There's the karmic interdependence of virtue, in which there's this weave of virtue and non-virtue then ripening in the form of samsaric experiences of suffering and happiness. And so this is how it is laid out according to the causal vehicle. So this is how we relate to the causal vehicle, or Sutrayana, the teachings of the Sutrayana. And then likewise in Tantra, it starts to go a little bit beyond this karma, kind of the kind of this strict allegiance to or understanding of the workings of karma, cause and effect, but then still there is this way in which we are still relating to the path of practice based on the accumulation of causes and purification. And then, so this is why, but less so because it's more fruition oriented, which is why we refer to the vehicle of Tantra or secret mantra as the fruition vehicle. And we call this the vehicle of sutra, the causal vehicle because it's all built around creating the causes that then ripen or ripen in the form of results, whereas the Vajrayana, or the secret mantra, Tantra, is fruitional because it is going straight to the fruition, recognizing that the fruition itself is the state of Buddhahood that is there present in the mind streams of all beings. So in the mind streams of sentient beings, there's already the fruition of Buddhahood, the awakened mind of Buddhahood. And so this is what we refer to as the fruition vehicle of secret mantra Vajrayana. But there's still so this way of relating to cause and fruition with this kind of the grasping or conceptual mind, as that is purified, as we train, as we read, and so forth. There are many ways in which the mind is grasping or fixating to these, like within the framework of this dualistic conceptualizing tendency. But the meaning, so to go beyond this, what is being suggested here in the Chuyingzo, is going beyond this framework of karma, cause, and effect. For instance, it's difficult to understand, or it won't quite fit in the mind. The mind can't quite wrap itself around that concept because it is beyond concept. But as we read, for instance, as we recite, as we train, or study, then gradually kind of this helps to lessen that fixation, and there's some understanding that can arise.
Wrong it seems like kasi nyar top top the mar as a lot young becomes maton tajik to Shima Shishin Chuji Ying Saya Tedang Long Saya Zokching Ji Saya Teso Shima Shishi Tan the same like Sharyak Galeka Warela Sharna Yong the Zokchingi Shingos Moneti Yimid Galeka Wari Tindu. Then the Nejima Lo Tane Telekovalan the Pug Luxula. To some goms on said, Pemsip kitchen in behavior thing to Tangbon, Tobati Nimini Kogor Tene, Sambat Chitene, Combati Tenricheva in Atene, Rembe, Dandon, wrong Kovate Levin Goratene, Chu Shibig Chinlabla Tane, Tene Tungomate, wrong Jula. Jesigre, they in do. Tani nga tso kalin tani mar lo tani rinpi tsiklin rewa jab kosa nana jab tani chirong tso la chirwaya na nga tso tani chirwaya ar tangi lan jab togo na jab me na nga tso tani chudur chinan rigwa.
So mainly, as for instance, reading through the text, this Chuyingzo, then there are these passages that are difficult to understand or really maybe can't be understood really, but in the Tibetan tradition that's why there's also this practice of recitation, and also why the three really are so important of study or hearing, contemplation, and meditation, because it is a gradual progression of kind of understanding that develops first through study, then through contemplation, and then through meditation. And they're together with these stages, and in particular also maybe putting the stage of recitation in the category of hearing, then there's also the blessing that comes with that, so that there can be this natural arising in the mind stream that happens as a result of the blessing. And so in that way we can read together, and as we read together we can kind of explain some of these terms, and then also particularly your questions as things feel unclear to you, then you can ask questions and we can clarify those doubts and also have some discussion.
Thank you. In Tibetan, if you read Tibetan, I think we can read this verse first. Second.
So the second verse on page 13, the magical expressions that originate within unborn basic space are completely indeterminate and not subject to any restrictions whatsoever. They cannot be characterized as things, for they have no substance or characteristics, and that their nature is like the panoramic vista of space. And they are unborn, spontaneously present, and free of any time frame, any beginning or end.
Ndiyo mara karisana jertong chuji yin ki rang yi te jewa me ba yina yang tenga zo simchen so so ge lo la ndamen da nang de goro nang zam ji mare tene le gedeg le tene ndibu te do na zo ba chi ngu su nyang we nang wa shar ge goro te yin de ta te kan de chi.
So gedek latine ngusu nangwa shargyore.
Gedek ngusu nangwa ndawo shargyore ndawo.
But gedek dang.
Gedek latine.
Latine.
Deduk nangwa gyore. Te ngone yuba ndawo shargyore nga zo. Ta sanji ki chu ji ne luk tin chen ne yo mare se shakana tene ta legendary ndibu dedo kandaji ni hyungwares. Jihina mato te tigas shakana ndigo marikares na nga zo te sharde goro nga zo la te rangchen to yoba tago sharde goro. Te yinri ta sharde wa te kandaji sharwa zina jeme yingli jewe chunrus la jewa maybe ying tenili chuntorse jewa dartı şardı görürüz. Jewa dartı şardı. Chuntorsena tanda magical illusion or here magical expression singdo. Tanda yang lokchenki choki jigrindo. Sedu nawa ngone trop deva yamaris. That called magical chuntor expression mato. Nawa ngopo trop deva ngone ji şardı yamaris.
So as it says that these magical expressions that originate with within the unborn basic space. So this word, the unborn, so the essence of the Dharmadhatu, or the expansive phenomena, is unborn. And yet, if we sort of just state, oh, it is unborn, there is never any birth, there is no arising, and we sort of leave it at that, that also kind of as a dismissal isn't okay. It isn't sufficient, because it is as if things appear. We do experience, even though the nature is that of the unborn nature, there is still all of these different appearances that shine forth, independence upon virtue and non-virtue. So independence upon virtue and non-virtue, all of the diverse experiences of suffering and happiness, or pleasure and pain, manifest as though they existed, or so they seem to truly appear, and even though they don't really exist in the true, the true nature of all phenomena is that it is, their nature is unborn, but the expression is experienced as though they are born, and so the. Mm-hmm. And so these are the magical expressions, the magical emanations that manifest as the display or ornament of the Dharmakaya. And so this is another Dzogchen term. This term, the magical expressions, is another one of these terms, which is chutro. And I think that's pretty much the most standard translation. But they don't actually manifest, although they appear.
Tene tante longchenpa tene ma tizu jewa yo mares yina yang jewa tartu nang yores jewa tartu shar yores jewa tartu shar dena yang tene tanda tamegi yingcheng tela jeme lundro ngachi tongta chars jewa tartu shar ne sharwa te yang jiyong mangi karyong jachi me situ deri se ne shi jayong sa yo mares. And the shar devi ki ngopo kandang kanyi na yang dona sharwi nekam na yang jewa yo mares. Shar devi nekam na yang jewa yo mares.
So de lo yore samsam la go tong do de lo pe kapla dang joshi ga pe kapla de lo yore.
Malo na de kibar kimo mo. Kung kariyo na tis shit. Tada jewa sa jindo dana. Jemi sa jindo dana tsekin gol ndo.
Yeah.
Jemi sa tama jindo.
Tamala.
Di parla jewa tihi yorwa.
Ale.
Yina yang 당보 jewa yo mares. Ramanda jie sigiri, ramanda nang sigiri. Yina yang nang deva tiso yang diri se ni ngoni xie yang sa yo mares. Nang devi kaps tama yang duna jewa mebare san tati jewa mebi ki parla jevi ngopo tamji ta parla xa xa mando rindu.
And so these magical expressions that originate within the unborn nature space, they manifest in all of this like multiplicity and detail, and yet they are unborn, but it appears as though they are born. So they manifest as though they are born, and yet their nature is that of the unborn. They never really actually waver from the ground. And so in the act of arising, in the moment in which like these appearances have arisen, and after they have arisen, although they appear, there's never really any real essence there. So as it says in the final line of the verse, they are unborn, spontaneously present, and free of any time frame, any beginning or end.
Okay. Yeah. There's no birth. Kundiginji ngoi shangjo san mayung ma ji mange shangjo ne kone ma karyong songwan nga chiri me shangjo sam ji long rodong me gundu chabadar.
So then the next verse, the essence of all samsara and nirvana is awakened mind, spontaneously present, not occurring, not originating, and not finite. It has not come from anywhere, nor does it go anywhere at all. The expanse of awakened mind with no linear time frame does not come or go, for it is infinitely pervasive.
Tene yangchon dena changchup sems de tanda nga tsu tong namju shi de changchup sem kuzob changchup sem todam changchup sems nga tsu tangbo semji gulang juwe kaps changchup sems ten yin tang denbi sems Tonyam Sorni, but she got a shunch of Sam said, good of ban. A simji ban, Shandon cherry on top of a shunch of those. Simji say at the Shanji turn the cheater and Rani Zobe Sanji compound. Tobran Doba Tella, chunch of the Sams, Jerson Jonathan the sugar. D chunch of Sandy, this Romar. Di changchop sem sayate rank rikping oam rikpa chuni devrish biningbo tele changchop sems nanashi.
So again, he said we have this word awakened mind. So this, and actually it's what he's saying here makes much more sense in the Tibetan, because the word that is being translated as awakened mind is Jangchup Sem, which is actually bodhicitta. So we have the bodhicitta, or the mind of awakening, that we generally think about. We think like the relative bodhicitta, the absolute or the ultimate bodhicitta, and so there's the then the two types of relative bodhicitta, and what we refer to as the two corners, kind of the two corners of bodhicitta being, for instance, the mind that is directed toward the welfare of others or sentient beings, and then based on that wish to benefit beings, then there is the aspiration to awaken oneself, to reach the state of Buddhahood oneself for the benefit of sentient beings. So these are the two aspects of bodhicitta, being compassion and wisdom. But this is not the bodhicitta that we're talking about here. This bodhicitta, or awakened mind, it is a perfect, I think, a very good translation here, awakened mind la pyorowa. So he's not actually translating Jangchup Sem in the same way that it's usually translated, like it's either the mind of awakening, which is known as bodhicitta, and it's also not translated as bodhicitta. He's translating it here because of this context as awakened mind. So this is referring, of course, to the essence, the intrinsic awareness that is the true nature of the mind, or the essence of awareness itself, or the Dharmata, the Buddha nature that is that essence of awakening as Dharmata, or the true nature of phenomena.
Mm-hmm. So you think these translations are good? Changchup-san, yeah.
I think so.
Awakened mind, already awakened.
It's right, yeah, already awakened.
It's not the motivation to
awaken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Bodhi. It's a literal translation of Bodhi and Chitta, though, right? Chitta is mind, Bodhi is awakened.
Yes, but I think we are saying here is already awakened, or is the motivation that's toward to a waking stage.
Yeah, so it's a very slight grammatical dip. And actually, I'd be curious to know what the Sanskrit grammar is, because in Tibetan, it's there's a genitive often, like meaning that's why it's translated the mind of awakening, which is what Khenpo is saying means we have yet to awaken, right? Or the mind that leads to awakening. So the difference here is that he's saying it's past tense. So I don't know how that fits with the
not only past
grammar.
tense, maybe past perfect participle
present tense.
Like in the process, awakening.
What's that?
I said it could be like in the process, awakening mind, a mind that is in the process of awakening.
Awakening mind. But that sounds a little bit more like the other meaning of bodhicitta.
Right.
Yeah.
And think about two aspects of bodhicitta, what those two aspects are. Two aspects are the intention, both.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to attain enlightenment. That's one thing, for the sake of others. So we can generate bodhicitta. We call bodhicitta anyway. Then in Tibetan, Changchup, same thing, but English. I mean, it's not. When we're thinking about term, we are thinking here is awakened mind is sounds already awakened. Yeah, that's
the distinction.
Mm-hmm. Not waking toward the mind, toward the light.
Here's what the problem I have with awakened is being the past tense. Is it sounds like we're talking about something that happens after a process. But I was thinking bodhicitta here is referring to what is the condition from the beginning.
Can you say again what?
Can you help with that?
Between?
Because kongi penate awakened lavna tene ngoma the awaken yo mare dreba jang sarva gitunda to yorwa inyang yi dune awaken yamba tintin yo marawa titsiknanga.
So maybe another way to put it is this synonymous with yeshe? Does it have the primordial? So then, right.
Which term do you want to use?
The problem is, again, you come up with language that sounds like, well, after a lot of effort, then your mind has become awakened. But my understanding is this is talking about the mind which is already in that condition and which effort cannot produce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's primordially awakened mind. You can put in parentheses primordially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
So actually, Sam had a question, but you need that mic, so just.
So in Sanskrit, what you said would make sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, in Sanskrit, it wouldn't be awakened mind. It would mean awakeness or
Awakeness.
Just like enlightenment.
Bodhicitta.
Yeah, like just the quality. That's it.
There's no verb with like past, present, or future there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it would mean in Sanskrit for bodhicitta.
Yeah.
That's right, because bodhi and chitta are both nouns, right? Is that right in Sanskrit?
It's maybe, it's modifying, the body modifies the mind, chitta,
Okay.
because Tibetan, we have changchup ji sen, a genitive between. But Sanskrit is a compound that you can read as a put in genitive between.
Awake mind.
Yeah.
Sort of. What did you say? Yeah.
Awakeness.
Awakeness.
Or pure consciousness.
Yeah, that's, changchup. So this mind is another problem. Yeah, we have in the Dzogchen, but somehow here use a changchup sem. That sem again. It's sometimes we don't have problem with using mind, but sometimes we have problems with using sem because what do we say? Sem the rikpa. Simrik yenji kapsu. Sem se atin korwa. Rikpa nyangenen deba. Inan di kapsu changchup sem de jar soma indu. Changchup ge sem de korang. Changchup ge ngo yinba changdogdwa.
So even though we have mind appearing here, or sim, in this context, it isn't the same as the problem that this word for mind posed before. Whereas, in this, in Dzogchen, if you are making the distinction, then mind or sem signifies samsara, and rikpa or intrinsic awareness signifies nirvana or awakening. So, but here we the word sam appears with jangchub sam, and it's okay because jangchub, which means awakened or awakeness, makes it then the essence of the mind. So it is already the true nature of the mind is that awakened nature.
Tene Dzogchen ji kaabsu ta kurwe ki ngowo ina changchub ki semre. Nyangel debi ina ngowo ina changchub ki semre sidu. Tan donna chu tamchi sanji ji ngowo re. Sam ma jibi chu jek jang yo ma re sen. Di kaabsu te shiga. Ta tenyong ma xiong ma chi ma ngel rundu la sokwe. Donna kaksik jar chen. Kanyang ma trupa. Rowa da wongwa par soma yongme, sorwa yongme, yina gundu chaba, talwa sidu gundu chaba, tang talwa tandaji, ngore yesu.
And so here, this awakened mind, transcending samsara and nirvana, like the true nature of samsara is this awakened mind. The true nature of, and the nature of nirvana is that of the awakened mind. So all phenomena whatsoever, there is nothing whatsoever that is not the nature of enlightened awareness. There is nothing that is not of this enlightened nature. And so then there can be, because of this sort of emphasis on unborn and non-existent, then kind of the argument to this could be, oh, well, then this is establishing that there is nothing whatsoever, that nothing really exists, and sort of falls into the extreme of the nihilistic view. But then that is counteracted by what is said that, but they are spontaneously present and free from any time frame or any beginning or end. Like, although they cannot be characterized as things, they appear, they manifest, they shine forth.
Nurna, ta chu tamchi jewa yo mare, ngakwa yo mare, newa yo mare, and chu tamchi chu ji yingji rang yin re, xiangchub semdi ngo re sen, xie yang de tene nga su sem kar xab yo re sen ta, yana chu chek yo samare samsano yana chu tamji sanji di ngo ina kandri chen korwa shar de bare nga chu sem teleb yong goro teleb yong de shar wat tamji de yana chuntur yana milam do juma tawar namji na shime zarar sen shedan zawa maybe go ni shar de bare ma zo ngo ko ngo ni yuwa trop de ba ji shar gi yo mares Tati shargi yore se xie yongde yong, xie deng zawa yuwa je dang opo chob deba je sharwa yo ma res. Dan dana shar dena yong xime zara re sen, yang chur je xie ganda ten yin de chu tam chi ji ngowo je xie yongde, dene nangwa dang de do ke nangwa rama ra yuwa de kandre, nga chu sem shar deba de kandre re sen, nga chu sem tokpa lep yong yorwa. Tila lanji tsorda, kandri sharden, sharwata tamji chunchor tang, juma malam tawi yinba. Yung juma malam tawi shardeva tanyong, ko shime zara yinba. Ta tindri yinne, chun yinzu ta longchenpe tindri chisu zongdwa.
And so whatever shines forth, all appearances, being the essence of the awakened mind itself, the Dharmadhatu, there isn't really anything that exists, any real phenomena that exists. And so sometimes then there might arise the doubt, if everything is already like the completely pure nature of enlightened wisdom, if everything is the essence of awakening already, then why all of this experience of samsara? And, because, why then things appear, there is suffering, but it is that the things appear in the form of magical illusions, like a dream, like an illusion. And so from their root, they don't exist. They are without basis, they are without root, they don't really exist, and yet they arise. So even though there is no root, there is no foundation, there is no substantial reality there, there is all of the possibility of manifold manifest like appearances or arisings that are still rootless and groundless. But then we, again, we think, but then if this is the case, why does the mind experience the like pain and pleasure, happiness and suffering, the phenomena of samsara? And so it is really that point of not understanding the illusory nature, the dreamlike nature, because that way in which all phenomena manifest is like magical expression, magical expressions or illusions and dreams. And when that is not just understood, then they create pain and suffering.
Yes, I think we have a question.
So, who creates the illusion? Is it the deluded sentient beings, or is it co-created with the all good as a display of enlightened intent to push us through awakening? Right?
Yes.
Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Most difficult questions.
Yeah, I actually kind of missed some of it, so maybe you can say in English. I don't know.
What?
Na yapo ko nyingi umarwa apeki driva yapo ko masongana. Yeah.
In English?
I think so. If you, because it's that would be good. Let's see what you say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we need to blame on Usually others, yeah. Because we didn't do it. Someone messed up in some level. The Dzogchen, sometimes we call this ground presencing or ground discipline or ground manifestation that has the 8 doors. It's called 8 doors of the manifestation or appearing. And most are these positive, or what we call the nirvanic drawers that wisdoms, rainbows, bodies, and so forth. But then it's also has this madak go, so the unpure doors for some
For delusion, the impure door of delusion.
Door of delusion. And since that is the beginning of at least the source of the delusion, somehow subtle delusion that arise from or based on that. But maybe sometimes now I'm thinking myself, I don't know others what they think, but even if this kind of limitless productions of positive nirvanic qualities, good qualities produce or manifest from this neutral ground, and there must have some sort of byproduct of the unpure things. That my thinking is not I haven't seen yet in writings, but I'm thinking it's and also good and bad, or positive and negative, and samsara and nirvana. These two are two qualities that are kind of interdependent. Yeah, this cannot really survive positive. When we say these 8 doors of samsaric, not samsaric appearances, as appearances, then we are describing positive appearances, then, which also indicates that negative appearances must already kind of directly or indirectly involved with that product. Then, of course, once we separated from ground, then we have this subtle ignorance. So ignorance is sometimes called dagni jikbu marikpa. Only you don't recognize your own self. Own self means you don't really recognize who you are. So that's the subtle beginning ignorance. That then we look at more outwardly and inwardly. We look inwardly we found there is a self. Of course, once we think there's self, then we always think outwardly, but there's others. And then mainly these lights, rainbows, and positive appearances take us an object, and our awareness as a subject self. So
really they're just lights and rainbows.
Yeah, and
And then we're making them into things.
then there's it's still in the dreams framework.
Yes.
It's never happened.
A dream, yeah, and the thing that's unique about our nightly dreams is that they're very solipsistic. They involve manifest stuff that are lawless, that it took a lot of effort to figure out some of the harmonies and symmetries of nature, the law of gravity as the bending.
I see what you're saying. Like the
there's a
difference is
lawfulness.
that the dream dreams don't seem to have any real order in them. They're kind of lawless, as you're saying. Whereas why then does the waking dream have so much pattern and perfection and intricacy and like seem to operate according to karma,
To a higher
interdependence?
intelligence in many ways than the individual. The individual seems, it seems, for instance, if you were ironing out karma, that a nightly dream would do a good job of getting right to your psychological pathologies or idiosyncrasies, right? And if it was guided by enlightened intent or something, then there would be wisdom in it and everything else. But it wouldn't have to manifest a universe of extraordinary rule and order and
Pattern and intricacy.
intricacy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that when we think about our structure of our consciousness, famous psychologists think the under kind of subliminal consciousness is much more pervasive and much more foundation than what we just think. There's a layer of structures that almost most of unaware kind of activities occurring in a subliminal
Subconscious.
subconscious level. And dream is one of them, yeah.
Right, and obviously we share collective karma that may mean manifesting here on Earth, but why then should supposedly maybe infinite realms of worlds, why would they all obey the same laws for
Kong di la giro so tena de pena milam tang du tene de pena nuni dinda di lejum de dang de yang tumbo pena tena tim rawo yo marwa samsama yang pena gare dinda de gare la go gare interdependent shata shukchambo yo marwa yene yang dinda de nangwe gi jikten la han saya tim samgi mikyapa yorwa tene sangma be tensing do jung tene de pena senre ki tola samlo tangna tene de kande yemba kong tesa tes kemsare samgi yorwa
그래, ngazo chinangwege tremsana jinrotang tenjin renjunge nangwate 시가 ngazo ndok chengeorwa. 마도 너네 여드레드 말에 this kalikawendo ina tande chuyinzo non tenando gande denatata jeryong mange karyon jamachis jeryong mange sena there's no
Cheryang mange
indeterminate right toma millamyo indeterminate la tande nawante indeterminate tande zokching ne ka hiede drangoni tiyo marisa gore
So yes, it is the case that the way that things manifest or that appearances arise, there is incredible intricacy and law and sort of order to it, interdependence. And so somehow we think because of that, it exists, but that doesn't need to mean that it exists. So that is there in how it appears, but that doesn't, even though our tendency is to think, oh, that means that they're real, that is not necessarily the case. So as it says here, actually, I kind of feel this is, I'm not sure about the translation, but it says the magical expressions that originate within the unborn basic space are completely indeterminate and not subject to any restrictions whatsoever. So actually, he seems to be describing that in that, like, it's uncertain, there's no kind of certainty, sort of in the sense of like how awesome it is, right? That anything whatsoever can arise, like the entire realm of possibilities. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
And somehow Chunyingzu treats what we see is even, Madhyamikas talk about we cannot rely on our perceptions. So what we see is not really what we're seeing. And these rules and intricacies, and since there's a pattern and there is a sort of causal relationship, and these are also, we are kind of judging, or we are putting value on that rather than out there. So that's a little bit difficult
Rather
to
than they're
accept.
having value out there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So this is just an interesting analogy. Actually, John Archibald Wheeler at Princeton, and also, just really wonderful physicists, used to talk about the game of 20 questions, where somebody had an idea of an object, and the unknown player would come in and ask questions, and the idea was to guess the object in mind in 20 questions, right? But he talked about another version of the game that was a trick, where there was no original object. And then as the questioner comes in and asks questions, the questioner manifests the ultimate final yes, that was it, right? And but still, all of the questions that preceded the first had to be consistent, as though you had an object in mind, kind of thing. Okay, it's an interesting analogy, but maybe there's something like that going on.
That's really good, and I think it's a little bit difficult to articulate in Tibetan somehow.
Yeah, no, I'm not even going to try, sorry.
It's Tibetan is almost like who cares kind of.
It's just that there's observer participancy.
There's some.
Reality isn't something out there for us to discover, but we co-create reality through consistent observations.
By drawing patterns and conclude. That's part, seems to be part of the process of concretization.
Yes, definitely. So that's kind of here I want to, the very first question you made this afternoon, that who should we blame on, the object or subject?
Who's responsible? What's responsible?
Yeah. But there's no doctrine ground, then we should not have this problem. And that has signs of dynamic energy that's push out these manifestations, that indeterminate manifestations that makes us to cannot just stay in a neutral zone, but we see something, we say something. But then, of course, most of the time, we are wrong, but based on something. Then when we think back, there is real objects to blame on, or anything, everything arises from us, and we kind of fabricate it on the way to make more sort of concretize our appearances. Yeah, maybe.
I cannot deny the fact that this body exists because I'm feeling it, I'm experiencing it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So the body exists, but my body doesn't exist. Meaning there is a body, but it's not my body. So that ignorance, that delusion that it is mine or it is me is what does not exist. Body exists, all these objects exist, the moon exists, the sun exists, but like I'm seeing you, so that seeing exists, you exist, but I am seeing you does not exist. So that is what does not exist, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, whole Buddhist teaching is dealing with there's objects or not, that kind of, and how we get deluded in the samsara, and what is the cause of delusion, and do there's real objects or not. But Buddhists really early on, they wanted to say everything like dreams, or then yogacara or mindfulness, chittamatras, they already believe that there's no objects at all. The form and the body is, at least we look at Yogacharan doctrine and Madhyamikas, they would say there's no body. And there's many levels of with dealing with that. So in the Chantakirti in particular, he say there's no valid cognition in our system. Our system is one's own body. Your eyes, ear, tongue, and this consciousness are not valid. Means what you see is not what seeing is to be there. Yeah.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. If I were to look at my body under a microscope, mm-hmm. I would just see a bundle of cells. Mm-hmm. If I were to use even more powerful microscope, mm-hmm. I would see the further part, electrons, protons, and neutrons. Yeah. If I were to see through that with a more powerful microscope, mm-hmm. I would see empty space. Mm-hmm. And so at the fundamental level, I can say body does not exist. But at the perceptual level, it does as a perception, mm-hmm. because I have limitation of senses, mm-hmm. limitation of perception. Yeah. If my eyes were like an electron microscope, I would not be able to see you. Mm-hmm. And so the body does exist. At the fundamental level, it's literally energy, empty space. And my point was that if I say, this is my body, mm-hmm. that doesn't exist. The body exists, but my body doesn't exist.
But the difference you're saying is that there's the experience of the body, because you did just say the body doesn't exist. You explained that you accept that the body doesn't exist, but you have the experience of the body, but it's not your body.
And the possessing of the body.
Yes.
The attachment to this body is because of that delusion, the ignorance, which is the root cause of everything. And so in that sense, the objects don't exist.
Yeah, there's many levels or many different schools in the Buddhist. Yeah, they treat this differently. Yes, I think in a particular these texts wanted to go beyond a little bit beyond what we normally think what is person or what is form, what is mind, and so forth. It's a little bit want to go beyond. That's why I introduced. I don't know you were here or not. Sometimes we are a little bit uncomfortable, or it's not easy to digest or accept what mentioning in here. Yeah.
Kempo, I didn't have a question, but a contribution to the discussion. Is that okay?
Sure.
One thing just to add to what John was saying is that we shouldn't forget that our scientific view is incomplete and not exact, right? Like scientists acknowledge that there 27%, let's say, of the matter and energy of our universe is dark matter. We can't directly perceive it. We have no idea what it is. We can only infer it. So it may be the case that science is not a totally accurate picture of what's going on. And then to my eloquent friend here, I like Morpheus's view in The Matrix when he said, well, if reality is what you can see and hear and feel, then those are just electrical impulses in your brain. You can't really prove that this isn't a dream or an illusion, including the electron microscope and what it sees, and all of that's invented by a mind just the same. And creatures that could see infrared might see different things. Creatures that could see electronic fields might see different things. And who would be correct in that way? How can you say what is real and what actually exists? Who's right in that sense? So it seems like the door is still wide open on what all this is.
Yes, thank you. And we need to blame on someone.
That's another thing I was wondering. It's kind of like saying, if you see a rope and think it's a snake,
Yeah.
whose fault is that?
Yeah, who made you see misperceive?
Someone else sees something else.
But
It's
there's no rope, then maybe you would not see a snake. So something to do with the rope, I think, yeah. Your eyesight is not good, maybe, but it's kind of evening, dark. That also contributes something, but rope must do something, yeah.
Going back to Longchenpa,
You, Mike.
returning to Longchenpa, he, as far as I can tell, and what we've been reading, he talks about enlightened intent as being a very active, creative agent in rescuing beings, if you will.
Light and intent.
Enlightened intent. So you mean
All
Zhang
all good.
Oh, Gongba. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, intentional, yeah.
There's some expression of manifestation that involves awakened mind to assist us, to rescue us, right? So to speak, from delusion.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's I was mentioning that before or earlier. He's looking at different angle in these texts to saying what the reality is and what could happen while it's happening. Nothing happened. So that's his structure of his speech here. But he's not really negating that the causal relationship or interdependent origination or the Dharma things that need to rely on each other. Those are not important in these texts. He's not denying that. Of course, we either call enlightened intent or just intention that can create a lot. And especially samsaric beings are sometimes, I think, more powerful than Buddhas because we can make things from nothing. We are a good creator, and we are amazing beings that we can create from nothing, yeah. And we still enjoy it, and worst case, we cannot live with it or without it. We are much more powerful in some sense, and our attention or enlightened attention is of course everything's created from intentionality. That's powerful. But then, if I am Longchenpa would say, "There's nothing happened." It's just it's.
There's no freedom because there's no bondage, right? There's no freedom because there's no bondage. That draws into question the whole idea of interdependence, in essence, meaning no free will, no active agent. Unless Buddha, there's the transcendent Buddha nature, the Tathagata Garbha, that's the free agent, or, go back to that question, is there free will? Or is everything,
Yeah, that's a little bit difficult.
That's a tough one.
But free or not free seems, once we caught in this dichotomy, then seems pretty much in a samsaric wanted that we cannot really cut off. As long as we are in this dualistic kind of concept, then we can, I think, say anything. We have free will. We don't have free will.
Good answer.
We are nothing to do with the causal relationships. We are everything. Everything's relying on causal relationship. It's interesting because that is we make that role or that structure. Yeah. One more, and then we have maybe tea break. It's okay.
Of course.
Yes, we could sit here for like 1,000 hours and talk about whether free will exists and doesn't exist, objects exist and don't exist, and both sides could turn out to be convincing. I think the bottom line is the Buddhist framework of eradication of suffering. And so if we look at objects as objects and not my objects, in that sense, if we look at free will as free will and not my will, then the suffering goes away. And from that context, I was saying that objects do not exist.
Yeah, the interesting part is the Buddhist, of course, what you are saying is very much true, but the part of the Buddhist teachings worry that once you conceptualize there is something means other than you, then which means already kind of creating the self-identity already. And once there is other rocks can fall you from sky, or not sky maybe, but buildings can collapse on you, and that makes make you suffering. It's the Buddhist way of thinking is not emptying self itself, but emptying things that environment and also surrounding you, and also your own body, and those, as long as I have that concept or that appearances appear, then it's, I think sufferings will kind of arise. That's what the Buddhist way of thinking. That's why it's the Four Noble Truths versus Bongba, Dharmeba,
Emptiness, non-self,
Dongarwa,
suffering,
Mitokpa.
mitokpa, impermanence.
So these,
Suffering, impermanence, and non-self, the three characteristics. Yeah.
these are three characters, four characters of things. Yeah. We can discuss more later. Thank you for the discussion, and 30 more minutes for break. And,
So we return in 30 minutes? Okay.
If you
4
still have
p.m.
time, come back. If not, then what we can do? You have free will, so. Yeah.
Is that your free will?
Yeah.
Choose not to come back, or is it your predetermined karma?
Yeah. No, I'm good. Last time I drink too much coffee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. discussion. I see. That's why it's important. Yeah. Okay.
There was a question early, actually from last week.
Oh yes.
Let me see if he's here. I don't even know if he's here right now.
Online, people they think we are ignoring them.
Yeah, I don't think
No,
he's.
we are not ignoring anyone. Okay.
Let's wait and see if he comes back in the meeting because he was here this morning and earlier this afternoon.
Okay.
But there was another request from.
Somebody is also.
Oh, John, it's a raising hand
Who? In here?
from on
Oh,
Zoom.
okay, Joan.
Hi, Kempo. Thank
Go
you
ahead,
for the
Joan.
thank you for the teaching. I had a question about what has never been separated gets reunited. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Joan, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay, okay. What has not been separated getting reunited? So I wondered if you could just speak briefly about union, indivisibility, and non-duality. I mean, I get confused about how all that comes together and reuniting things that have never been separated.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And yes, somehow in a Dzogchen teaching that nothing happened somehow. And samsara never start. So nirvana is never there. When we say that, then it's kind of almost outrageous statement that what does that mean? But that's usually that's why in the Buddhist we often use as true truth that what's happening in the ultimate level and what's happening in the conventional level. Then on the ultimate level, nothing happened. That's just empty, non-dual. And nothing happened, then never separated from or anywhere. Reunite, I think it's another term used when we kind of demonstrate or teaching sort of a history that how these samsara, even this samsara and nirvana are naturally or reality doesn't exist, but somehow we cannot deny ourselves that we can see and we live in this world and there's environment and people we know and sometimes fights and sometimes befriend and those are sort of happening and that's maybe treat as conventional level to think in order to make sense to us we say certain point or certain point or in the past somehow we individuals emerge or arise due to our own ignorance And still Dzogchen maintained this ground as a source that if something happened, must happen from this primordial ground, which is Dharmakaya or Dharmadhatu. And then our whole purpose of the Buddhist teaching is get rid of suffering, go beyond suffering. And how we can end this suffering is the Dzogchen point of view. The very beginning, before we start our self as isolated personhood, there was peace or tranquility, or even there's no activities that involve any subject-object duality, therefore there's no suffering. So somehow we need to return back to that stage. In order to do that, then we need to purify or get rid of our disturbing emotions or afflictions that what we have in order to get rid of suffering. And that is the practice. The reunion part is more telling about the stories where we start and where we return. And non-separation part is more ultimate level that we never separate from there because nothing happened in all this duration of the samsaric experience what we are having. So that is a little bit complicated, but it's saying no matter what happened, we are still anchored by Dharmakaya. So we cannot really live anchored by Dharmakaya. So we cannot really live from this perfect zone. That's why the attaining enlightenment or awakening part is so easy that we are always at home. So we never left that home.
Is it that perfect for all eternity to just abide formlessly in bliss? Is there some point to the play? You know, the Hindus talk about creation as a play, as a transcendent play if you're enlightened, you know, but still it's the what is it, the all creating monarch just said, I will be many, and became many, and enjoys the process of returning, so to speak, to and recognizing, oh, it's all play, it's all it involves suffering and lots of unpleasant things, but also involves incredibly aesthetic things and beautiful things and profound, wondrous things, you know, that dazzle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's attachment, I guess, versus aversion. But it seems to me like perfect unresolved formless bliss would be kind of difficult for all eternity.
Yes, we sometimes, I think somehow we humans like to categorize what is good and what is bad. So we often, when we describe what we like things, then we use these these adjectives to make sense to us. It doesn't necessarily mean there's anything to describable objects or even things or the concept that relate to, designate to the actual objects, but that doesn't really matter. It's now maybe we can focus more on not what's out there or what's happening, but more maybe how we can look at a little bit differently, how we look at these things. To say good and bad is comes through our judgment or something there can differentiate on objects. Similarly, everything we can treat, even these appearance and even these class meeting, we can treat ourselves as a lightened being, or we can treat ourselves as a miserable sentient beings, humans, or we are just normal, okay people, or can live with neighbors and don't fight too much. We don't steal things from neighbors' yard, and so I mean we can treat ourselves as many levels. So even we can treat ourselves as perfect Buddha. I mean I think that's the main sort of message here. Now we are the creator, or we are we have power to look at things, what we want to look at. That's why, because to treat or look.
Yeah. No, so we basically we can choose our perception, is what you're saying?
Yeah, the foundation is there's no foundation, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Because now what we have is a bizarre appearances. That's what we see.
Bizarre appearances.
Yeah, and since we cannot shut down these for a while. So we are need to dealing with these bizarre appearances.
Very well said. And we can't shut them down for a while.
Somehow, either we call karma or we just call whatever, the magical illusion or magical expression, or it's our projection or our karmic projection, doesn't really matter. So that's not, we don't need since to find the source of it, rather than how we look at. That is the most and in Buddhist teaching and also Dzogchen, it's very important to saying how we can treat these things already sort of lightened. Doesn't need to unravel or untangle anything. It's just let be. It is. Dzogchen we call rangzhou, yeah.
Self-liberation. They're self-liberated. We just let them be and they'll just liberate themselves. Right.
Mm-hmm. And here, this verse maybe have a little bit of that. Tongda me junin de xin jam dang kan yam da be rang yin. Tongda me de nga ji yo le de jing ga me de nga pon se ma me dong me de xin song tong cha.
So in the English, The essence of all samsara and nirvana is awakened mind, spontaneously present, not occurring, not originating, and not finite. It has not come from anywhere, nor does it go anywhere at all. The expanse of awakened mind, with no linear time frame, does not come or go, for it is infinitely pervasive.
And another concept or important teaching here is that time is not linear here, and rising and ceasing, it appears to be Jewa Tangakwa Yuban Rawa Nangers. Nina Jenga Ni Chibi Gap Suyong Tunla Jewa Sayaj, Ngakwa Sayaj. Chungam Meba Tihako, Tishin Rawa Tang Wama, Toma Tang Tamasaya. Tendre Ginzimba Meba Yina. Tene could no one tell Zimba Chambo
So then as it says, the essence of all samsara and nirvana is awakened mind, spontaneously present, not occurring, not originating, and not finite. It does not come from anywhere, nor does it go anywhere at all. So essentially what is being said is it is without birth and it is without passing away. There's no arising, there's no ceasing. But even though there's no arising and no passing away, it appears as though there is. It appears as though it arises. It appears as though it is born. It appears as though it ceases or as though there is passing away. But the meaning is that which is unborn and unceasing. And so when we speak of not coming, not going, not arising, not ceasing, not birth, not no birth, no passing away, or no ceasing. So when that is understood, that even though that isn't referring to the way things appear, they appear as though there are these designations, but there are not really these designations. So when there's no fixation to that, then whatever appears arising and ceasing is understood to be unborn and unceasing, without birth, without cessation, and so therefore there's no fixation.
Dzogchen Gabs Nyamlan Setting, Do Tanga Ni Shivi Gabs, Tawala Chepar Yomares, Yinayong.
Wait, so Tangpo Dzogchen Nagare?
Not Dzogchen Shivi Gabs, Tawa Tang, Higogrilla Yong, Gomba Sedu, also can reach it. Gom Jab Gogume, can reach it, Dzogchen Gom can reach Jabume. Hina. Dzogchen Gom said, wrong similar to Takuris, second one. Cutting wrong some Takuris. Tanangato Jachambushi de Chuni say, Dharmakayas, Chujikusea, then Dzogchen she said, and then a Mamboji, Jachamboji, Bravo, Tayon Par, Jiang Rimboji in the Yubis on Rauji. She didn't reach Shibara. Diana, money. Wrong told jarne, gom jabiondu. Teso tamji wrong is simking over. Tijigurimba, hako, tell a ta chune, then it tell a sort of wrong sim, wrong sort of tell it, nothing gom jabas, so ching cups. Gom chagandra. Matun do said in a say, ni shivi cups. Tawa koron wrong chibario maris. Yinayon, not say at the top mombojuris. Top carriers, that's all chinky cups top. Yakshu, Sangshu Cheshu de Rangi Semla, Rangi Chortavatala. The top chiverjan, Chabor Zochin, top the Mandra, Handa Mandravi, top terrace.
So in the context of Dzogchen, we speak of the view, we speak of meditation. So what is meditation in the context of Dzogchen? What is it not? It really comes down to looking directly at the mind itself, at the true nature of the mind. Why? So why this distinction, or what is the point here? Because we can sometimes think, so it is these terms such as dharmata, dharmakaya, they feel very vast. And sometimes that vastness can lead us to objectify, thinking this is some far off thing, some far off place, very distant, not accessible here. But really, it is just the essence of the mind itself. And so understanding that this is one and the same, the mind goes inward. It is looking, understanding what is there as the true essence of one's own awareness. And when that understanding is there, then there is decisiveness. There's decisiveness, so what you always know to turn inward, to turn the mind to look at itself. So we have all of these methods, sutra and tantra, and the view actually isn't any different. Ultimately, there's really not so much difference with respect to the view. But what is really different, or particularly in the context of Tantra, what is really different is the methods. So there are many, many methods. And Dzogchen, the method of Dzogchen is like the kind of most direct and special method. Kind of, it is like an extraordinary method, or the unsurpassed method, kind of, that is apart from all of the other methods, because it's most direct.
And me pamram buche song yor. Na lave yima chibi semji jongsong le la chan be le la wo hyores. Te indu yi me shenda so yi chega maris so cheng. Lave yima chibi semji jong lame menga top ni tongjor che lame ki menga lama che ke rongge ke gen lama che ke menga la tene tene gom jap tong de ha ko tene gom jaba ina tasa de rongge sem ta tin rongge sem rigbe ngo tele tene chu tam jin de de ba ta te ha ko go re
Rigging or chu tamche dugire.
rigbe ngo la chu tam jin de de go re.
So Mipam Rinpoche says that it is so easy that it is difficult to believe. So because it is so easy, it's difficult for others to believe. And this understanding which originates from the mind itself, based on the pith instructions of a spiritual teacher, a spiritual master, lama. So based on the lama's pith instructions, one understands how to meditate. And then in that understanding of meditation, one comes to know that everything, all phenomena, is subsumed within the true nature, the true essence of your own mind.
Tini gabs chu tamji rikpi sal race, gab chu tamji rikpi rolva race, and
Oh, sorry.
chu tamji rikpi tsar race zungdo. Then the wrong rikpi tsal li chu tamji shar yomam, chu tamji nang deba. Race edu, tin dona wrong nawa ma yinbi ngopo nang deba. Chu chek jong yomare. Then indu sem gi ngobotel sorta tobaina. Da chu tamji wrong wang cha yore, wang jor top grace.
In fact, so all phenomena is the dynamic energy or the dynamic play of intrinsic awareness. All phenomena appear, but they are self-appearances. There's nothing that is not a self-appearance, that is not a product or display of the dynamic energy of the true nature of your own mind or the essence of your own awareness. And so if you can turn your mind inward to perceive that essence accurately, then all phenomena comes under your power, or all phenomena is brought under one's power. Rebe.
근데 거야 첨보요. 가르서는 추 탐지 랑그르 베자레 서두 너나 나응데시 상보지 나응데나 냥바지 나응데나 파르마지 나응데나 너나 랑 차시지로 랑그르 베 차시지
Thì cùng thầy yapo kuma song so tangpo tena ti koya chu tamche rang rigdinsa.
베자레 서두 거야 첨보요레스 거야 첨보서나 하고로
Thì se jache bodo.
No,
It's a big
this
understanding.
important, message or important
Okay.
meaning. 가르서는 단두나 릭빛 살마토 롱그 릭빛 살마토 현요 말에서도 상보지 나도나 랭엠바지 나도나 발만 나도나 상마테 다 롱그 릭빛 차시지로. 대인도 랑기 릭비 차시 상에 가르나도나 그 상보라 야부지치 냠발라 두보치는 상행기 예와트 쳐와이나 랑게 나와탈 랑게 예와 쳐거로 discrimination 대인도 상에 메비 따와테 진야데 속청게 나네 배 기침버렸어.
So, so to understand that all phenomena is the dynamic expression, the dynamic play or energy of your own intrinsic awareness, is really an important point to understand, or very meaningful, and that it's like whatever it is that appears, positive or negative, good or bad, pure and impure, it's all self-expression. It's all like coming from you, from the mind itself, and so, or the essence of mind itself, and so when we see it, that all phenomena as an expression of our own intrinsic awareness, then this, to discriminate, oh, this is good, oh, this is bad, this is better, this is worse, this, I like this, I don't like this, this is, this is pure, this is impure, all of these designations that were constantly, these discriminations that constantly happen with regard to phenomena, appearance, is really just discrimination against yourself. Because in Dzogchen, there is no good and bad. It's all just pure display. So we
Maybe I read this.
Kempota, would it be okay to ask that question before we?
Yes, please.
No.
Yes.
It seems, it could be relevant, but at this point, but earlier, I think it was last week, Menedis was asking what the difference was between, let me see if I can find the question. What is the difference between the precious treasury of Dharmadhatu and Mula Minyamaka Karika? So how would you make that distinction? Is it?
Yeah.
He was just asking that.
Yeah, this, I think, I just mentioned that most, when we think about the view or the ground, the ultimate reality, when we talk about, think about Taoism, 당나로
When we think about the view,
따와서 더 히라 히세도 따와서 뭐부 내추 가르인 바텔라 시마 히신 타 추바지 거네 삼나 당와텔 따와서 그러 대인도 너 당아니라 따와라 치바요 말이세야 돼 가르세 거르서나 따와서 주변타 지당 차와암 주변타 시당 차와스 단다 히세도
Trupeta.
지 am 희생도 8 or 4 extremes, yeah. The 희세도
All these
희도 거야
Gs.
레라를 희 4.
Yeah, 4.
Sorry, my here, not the ground. This the number 4. Yeah. Yuba, meba, niga, ni means 다절성체는 디등 잘고 그랬어. 오픈 내수라 요방 오픈 내수 말에 매바 오픈 내수 말에 요바 매바 니가 임바도 요 말에 돼야 말에 니민세야 돼요 요 말에 돼인도 디히들라 타시스 딘타 히등 잘와텔 타 히등 잘비 랑르 ngô am rong rigi hita dzogchen kaps ndoi kaps tene tongba ni sengdo o te tawa segor ti hako batala tili yiche batala.
So when we say the view, so what we're talking about is like a definitive understanding of how things actually are. So it's the view has this connotation of like definitively settling on the view, on the understanding of how things truly are, the true nature of all things, all phenomena. And so when we say that there's no difference with regard to the view, that there's no difference in regard to sutra, the view in the context of sutra and tantra. So in sutra, for instance, if you take like the freedom from the 8 or 4 extremes, so it can't be said to like, there is no existence, things do not exist, they also do not exist. They are also not both, and they are also not neither. Like existent or non-existent, or both existent and non-existent. So it is free from all these designations, which is saying that, the true nature is sort of beyond the realm of conceptualization. And so that freedom, that realization of that this essence which is free from these extremes, these 4 extremes, is that realization of the true essence of awareness. So in the context of Dzogchen, we call this the realization of the primordial wisdom of intrinsic awareness, or one's own intrinsic, pristine awareness, or the true essence of your own awareness. In the context of sutra, we refer to this as emptiness. So like really this view, ultimately, the ultimate view is one and the same.
네, 로벤타 담제당 잘와 티 마이나 소트로발 차용 거로.
And so if there is a view which is not free from these extremes of elaboration, or all extremes of elaboration, then that view then becomes a view of delusion.
대인도 너이나리 나이나리 따와트 로벤타다 타와 텔리 사가지 용토고 말이세. 단다 대든 따와 너만 따와 지와레세 테.
And so whether you are talking sutra, whether you're talking tantra, there is also no view that is like better than that, or that surpasses that, this view that is free of the 4 extremes.
대인도 물라메 madhyamaka karika dagoyina dog tawat higurwa dog tawat hidu trubenta tamje da chabat higur tene nelung zo statanda kandich inji tol kandich jurna chebar de gamaro yina the binding nature of reality or
The treasury of the abiding. How do they translate Nelugzo? Treasury.
fundamental nature, they call fundamental
The
nature.
mode of abiding, or is that
Yeah.
a different one? The treasury of the mode of abiding.
Pemakara,
Okay.
yeah,
Nelugzo.
yeah. Maybe they're familiar with this fundamental nature.
The treasury of the fundamental nature.
Kare lamnaya, dona tanda nelung zo tetene nga ganone zokchen chagyudu tene tawala chebar mesana degree yosana kale kapata tere yena gumbe nyams lembe kapso tene do da nga ni ki chebarte tap yume ki chebares do I kapso bombares chebache sem ki chebache bombares mato ngone gomjabyate alab gbendo den de zokchen ji kapso rong ri bengol so tag race and tene lamme ki ringo tre sene tanda tende loma nu tan temba teba tan temba cheke lama le shu lama senyi tan temba cheke ngo tre yona rikpa ngon chu sene ngon chu ju ba tan tre ju ba tene gom jap ringo ta se tende ki chebar chanta mombo ji so chano shi jo so tindu chebar tap ji gone pe chebar tembo yores.
So in the Mula Madhyamaka Karika, it is, this explanation of the view is mainly described as this freedom from all elaborations, the extremes of elaboration. And in the Nelugzo, or the treasury of the fundamental nature, it is actually, it is maybe described very differently, but it really is referring to the same thing. So you can't really say that, in the context of Dzogchen, the Dzogchen view is different from, or in the view in the context of Sutra. What is different is the meditation, the method. So during the time of meditation, there is difference with regard to the method, the approach. So in sutra, or in this context, the sutric context, then the mind, the emptiness is understood mainly also through investigation, examination, really sort of like an examining or sometimes analytical meditation, but really examining, the nature of the mind, examining the nature of emptiness. Whereas in the context of Dzogchen, the method is to go directly to the recognition of intrinsic awareness that has been introduced by one's Lama. So through having received an introduction to the nature of mind, from a qualified spiritual teacher, when there's a qualified student who is a proper vessel, and a spiritual teacher who has, the necessary characteristics or qualities, then when introduction happens, there is recognition. And so in the Dzogchen tradition, that is the method, is to meditate on that experience of intrinsic awareness that has been introduced to you by your spiritual teacher, is going straight to that recognition.
Almost there. Do they have more? Or maybe.
So this is from Javier Barrera. He has two questions, actually. The first one is, Just as in Mahamudra, there is a guideline, the preliminaries, Nundro, and so on. How is it in Dzogchen? Is there
So
a preliminary?
Ram Remdo.
Chikwaris, tanda nge labde ya Dzogchen sidu tanda zowo gomjabya tala trikyu sekndo. Tikola, shuna dene ringo tre ne rigbingo wataya tere. Tate ngon trubar chewa tang, ti ngon truya ke chi dola tene chikwari ngondo ngoyi tsoman tene rinpa shindu jango tso sak treba jang se. Ril tene toba mato yon kanji migowa toba te shigmano.
So the difference, really, actually, the stages of the path are very much the same in both Dzogchen and Mahamudra. The difference kind of comes with regard to the approach when you're dealing with the level of, say, like Trekchut, where, so for instance, that it being based on, having received a pointing out instruction, and then habituating recognition through the practice of Trekchut. But when it comes to and also pointing out, there's pointing out in both traditions, but when it comes to the progressive stages, it's exactly the same. You have the preliminaries, the ngundro, which is like the same categories of preliminary practices. There still has to be the gathering of the accumulations, the purifying of obscurations. Otherwise, there's no possibility for real recognition. So, Rebe, did you say that? Okay. And then so we have, the same sort of divisions of the preliminaries and the main practice.
Chaja chenpoye na nga tondam sanjik jibi yishite tsoksa treba thakbe lakje tong tokten lami hilap kona le tab hen
Reba.
tsoksa treba jangwe lakje se na
Mato.
lakje means by the power of almost. Tang tokten lami hilap kona le
Tokden lame.
chinlap through tokten lami chinlap.
Konane.
탑 현 템바 몽버 시브르치스 탑 현다 탑 텐데 라텐 땡 고그리세 안로 땡나 노르와 쳔보레스 몽바 시브르치스 몽바 means 노르와 나 몽바 시브르치. One should understand that this is the wrong method.
It is like in the context of Mahamudra, it is said, the co-emergent primordial awareness of the ultimate truth is only realized, can only be realized through the power of gathering the accumulations and purifying obscurations, and through the blessings of a realized spiritual teacher. Apart from that, any other method only Mongpar Sheparche should be understood to be confused or mistaken.
Yeah. Maybe we okay, one more.
Oh, one more. There's two.
Sorry.
So really the same thing is said, with regard to this. It's really the same here, both Mahamudra and Dzogchen.
So maybe I'll go to the other question. The second question seems related, but I can follow up with Javier. If he seems like it wasn't answered, then I can direct that to you another time. But the second question was from Alicia, and she was asking if you can explain the term nonlinear time.
Nonlinear time.
Nonlinear time.
Yeah.
So deba tatawa mawa se dun deba se haji ngula chung. Mawa se yongya tang. Tatawa se nga so ne dewa. Tila jik 직 당보 총의 디젤 직 총거 같이.
Mhm.
림파신도 총거 같이. Gradually 용야 시기도. 이는 적힌 값을 투솜 렌 데비투스 투솜 티 많이 비투 히바치스 거. 투 히바데 되네. 투솜 렌 데비투스 텔라 non-linear to 차고요래.
So ordinarily, when we think of linear time being linear, because we have these designations of past, present, and future, and the past has already happened, the future is yet to come or is coming in the future, and the present is what we are experiencing right now. So we conceive of time in this linear way of with regard to the three times, the three times being past, present, and future. But and first, and it happens in progressive order, linear, like gradually, first, then next, then what comes after. So in Dzogchen, we talk about the time which is beyond the three times. So it's kind of like the fourth time. So the fourth time being the time that is beyond the three times, that is not bound by like linear this kind of linear progression of this conceptualization of a linear progression of time.
I think we need to stop here today somehow. Our linear time limited our activities. Thank you so much for everyone here and beyond, or online and beyond. And
so we can do the dedication prayers on page 24 of the prayer book. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings and samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drigungpa Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
So this is written by Mipam Rinpoche.
So that this is written by Mipam Rinpoche, this one de Dao Dang Korde Tamchegi?
No, that
Oh, really?
The dedication.
Oh, okay. So the dedication that is May the Teachings of the Great Drikungpa, that one is actually written by Mipam Rinpoche.
Good, thank you very much. I wanted to say thank you to a few people who made this happen. So thank you very, very much to Jupan, who originally requested these teachings, and many Sangha members who requested these teachings. As we all know, that it's just Khenpo's heart practice, as well as a text he knows really well. So we're very fortunate to have you here, Khenpo. We hope you will come back.
Yes.
We're only on chapter 2. There's 13 chapters, so we have a little more to go through. So we really would like you to come back and please teach us on this text. And thank you for Virginia for translating. Without your voice and your mind, it would not be possible for us to understand these teachings. And the same goes for Zoldi. Thank you, Zoldi. Every week you come and you translate for our Spanish Sangha. So thank you very much. And so please, on behalf of Drung Nor, please accept.
Thank you.
Thank you, Damien.
And if anyone would like to make a donation for these teachings to support Drung Nor, please, you can see Melanie, or you can send it on to our website, www.dnjus.org. But if you would like to make a donation to Khenpo, please come up and do so.
And so can we kind of make it like, can we count on for everybody here that probably it will also be, Kempo might be able to, every time, for instance, Tripon Rinpoche is out of town, that he might continue to teach on this.
Somehow, yeah.
Well,
It's-
also, we can also put it as like a special event. So just keep your ears out for, because or your eyes peeled for the announcements, because they will be forthcoming. Yeah. Right.
I didn't hear.
Oh, I will.
I couldn't hear either
I-
because somebody
I
was
guess-
on.
Right, so whenever Drupal Rinpoche is traveling or out of town, we would like to request that you come and teach on this text. Kempo, of course, if you're in the area,
Yeah.
maybe
Yes.
whenever Drupal Rinpoche is not here, you can come and teach on this text and we can continue on for the next, however long it takes.
Yeah, if now you know my teaching style. If you don't agitate it by saying nonsense things, yes,
Bizarre, more like bizarre things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, very wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kempo.
Thank you, everyone.
Love you, Kempo. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Different direction. Looking here, but no. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I can see them. Okay. Yeah. You said that. Yeah? Oh yeah.